there's got to be a point in all of our lives when something happens and we become a seeker.
So this is some more stuff from, and I highly recommend like checking out this. We'll post some links to some of the Joseph Campbell content that you can look into. There's a really great this documentary, Finding Joe. It has so much good stuff. It's like really high level uh, people that participated in this documentary. But Deepak Chopra says again, this is something that I really like, that this is, I guess, what I've been doing in my life. And he says, select two or three heroes or heroines from mythology, religion, or history. Then ask these mythical beings to incarnate through you. Then don't be surprised when you see situations, circumstances, coincidences, synchronicities, relationships suddenly show up that are actually part of the story that you've been seeking to express.
Hmm.
This is similar to the last one that I read about you purposefully, just like you were talking about with, say, Martin Luther King Jr., that you select someone of high character that you would like to incarnate through you. You would like to have their qualities come through
Yeah,
you. You would like to have a life like theirs. This is not a small thing. Like when you do this, you are like saying, like, use me in the
yes,
world.
yeah,
That's a heroic thing to do, to see, like, look at the top of like the food chain of like people character wise that you would like to embody, and you like, give me a life like that. And
takes a lot of
if you
courage.
really do that, it's when you're actually asking for that, what it feels like. and
Hmm.
and I've done that in my life, so I'm excited. I know wherever it goes, it's not going to be boring.
Yeah,
So I spend a lot of time, like I focus on Yogananda. In From all the research that I've done, he's my guy. Like he's the one that I want to aspire to be like. And so I say, like, use me, like manifest through me. And it's not like you're going to have a life that's like exactly like theirs, or you're going to like, become a cookie cutter, but you're going to have one of equal importance, or not, of high importance, he'll say,
yeah,
depending on how far you go in your mind to allow yourself to,
true.
the sky's the limit. You'll find yourself like, whoa, no, I don't want to be that important, whatever. But you should really let go all the way, and you'll see, like, and you can do it with Hanuman. So if you read the story of Hanuman, and you want to be the most loyal friend, you want to be the most heroic adventurer, you want to recognize your true potential in your
Mm,
life,
mm,
then you can say, Hanuman, incarnate through me. And it's a magical, wonderful thing. That's what you can do with all of these characters of myth and histories. So, but you want to select ones that are aspirational. I mean, you can do it with anything or anyone. That's why I like the Ramayana, because from my research, I've always been looking for, what's the lighthouse? What's the oldest one?
mm.
What's the one that was written in the highest age? So this story is about being written in the golden age when Rama is king on the throne. That's when the entire world goes, we want an enlightened master as our king, you know? And that's what you look throughout the ages and these stories, the different ones, like, what does the king look like in that? That's what the people think a great king is like.
Right.
You can tell what period, you can tell when that story was written, based on what humanity thought was a great king or a great
True.
hero.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes somebody who was a great hero in the past, say like during the darker times, during the medieval times,
Mm.
somebody who was a great king or looked at as a hero then, if you look at him now, you're like, oh, I don't know about that. They owned slaves. They
Right.
had, you know I don't know about them having 10 wives. I don't know about them, marrying their sister, like
Yeah.
there's like things like that. But
Yes.
but that was like culturally accepted during that time.
Right.
So it's always like you can see what was the morals of the time, what did the
Yes.
people think was great. So with the Ramayana, we're actually going back into a golden age where you actually did have a true enlightened, awakened master as the king, and this heroic story. And that's why I like it so much. The characters in the story are truly aspirational for all
Mm,
ages.
yeah.
Mhm. So yeah, so I think yeah, that stuff is just it's really great to be able to you have a clear pattern for how to live your life when you tune into these great mythic stories, and how to become the best version. Um this is some other just this is a Joseph Campbell quote. He said, "A hero ventures forth from the world of common day into a region of supernatural wonder. Fabulous forces are there encountered, and decisive victory is won. The hero comes back from this mysterious adventure with the power to bestow boons on his fellow man." Mhm. And that's, I think, what you were hitting on about, sharing this light with others, being that person that even if you don't even say anything, your vibration can transform people.
Yeah.
And heeding the call to adventure is about pushing through our greatest fears. I also heard, so in that documentary, there's the Chinese character for crisis. There's actually two characters. The first character is danger. The second character is opportunity.
Mm,
Those two combined is what the Chinese word for crisis,
hmm.
danger and opportunity.
That's interesting. If you can
And
get
that's
past
what
the
we
danger,
have.
it could be a great opportunity.
Mhm. The obstacle is the way. The crisis is the time to, like, when you get sick, when something happens, when you lose your job, when you lose the relationship, when the thing that you worked on, nobody gives a shit and it goes away. Whatever it is, that is the time. That's like the time for danger. You could be homeless, you could be whatever happens, you could lose your car, your house, your your
Yeah.
your friends, your family. But then opportunity, it is an opportunity because the old thing has to die in order
Yes.
for a new thing to be born.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what a lot of these stories, whenever you see, like, whenever something dies in the story, it's a metaphorical death of the old thing dying, making way for the new. Like
Mm,
in Luke in Star Wars, he comes back to go find his aunt and his uncle. Their little mud hut is burned to the ground, and they're just corpses on fire. It's like that was the old Luke life, where he just was in this barren desert doing who knows nothing at
yeah.
all. And then now that's just gone. There's nobody there, there's nothing, and then you get this call to a new opportunity to
Right.
save the princess.
Yeah. It's very true.
So
I think
that
sometimes
old
we,
thing,
we
yeah.
we get so caught up in that moment of danger and destitute that we don't see the opportunity that lies right in front of us. And then when you look back, you're like, that was my chance, but I focused on the wrong aspect of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's like inspiration that came too late.
yeah. And I think the thing to remember is like, there's always going to be an element of risk. It's never going to be perfect. Even you climb this mountain, it knocks you right back down. It looks like and because the storm hit, and now the storm's cleared, and now at the bottom of the mountain, and you can see another storm on the horizon. But maybe it'll hold off long enough for you to get back to the top. And if you don't take the chance, you never know. And then let's say the storm doesn't come and the sun's shining, but somebody else beats you to the top of the mountain, and that was your goal to get there first. You always kind of look on with regret. So sometimes you
Mhm.
just have to take the risk that the storm's going to hit again, and you hopefully summon the courage because you survived the first storm. You can survive the second and the third and the fourth, and however many you need to survive.
Yeah, because what else are we doing really
Yeah.
with our lives if we don't take chances and we don't go for it? We're not actually serving our families if we don't seek to fulfill ourselves, to fulfill our true heart's desires.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that, like, like taking these risks, you put your finances at risk, you put, all of these different securities at risk, but really you don't have any security. A storm or a fire or whatever could come and wipe all that out
True.
anyway, or anything like that. Um, or if you don't go after follow your bliss, follow your heart, take on these adventures, then what kind of person are you going to be to that spouse or that to your family, your kids, if you're just like ornery and resentful and you didn't go after anything and you just do your job and you're just like a zombie when you come back, and your health is down, they're probably going to leave you anyway. They're not going to call you
True.
anyway, or they're whatever. So one way or another, I think you have to do the things that are going to uplift you and then make you an enjoyable person to be around
Yeah.
in the first place.
I agree 100%.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a strange life that we live in. So I'm happy that there are things like this hero's journey. Once it clicks on in your mind, you can see like there is a blueprint for it. And it's not about like taking risks and not giving a fuck about other people. I
Right.
think I think maybe when I was younger, I was doing that maybe too often, where it was just like a no, I'm doing this and I don't care,
Right.
and I think I've come back around kind of a circle of being maybe reckless with it, and then becoming more, having more wisdom around it, of like how you can actually really go for your dreams, but then with diligence, with energy, with using these meditations to recognize like, should I go for this, or is this not the right thing to go for? Maybe there's a better thing.
Right.
So it's so much more calculated for me now which adventure I take. But
Right.
now, and now that I found in myself like, oh, but there was this little bit of not as much energy and enthusiasm and like childish enthusiasm that it takes to really do it right.
Mm.
It's like a weird balance. Like you have to have that full childlike enthusiasm,
Yeah.
bliss, wonder, curiosity. And at the same time, you're just asking God, like, is this the one? Is this
Right.
the right one? And he's like, yeah, yeah, this one. All right, cool. All right. Then you're like a kid, like playing.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think that's what's I've been coming to a lot in my life. Like, how do I rekindle that childlike enthusiasm and also like take bigger and bigger risks in my life and follow your bliss? That's Joseph Campbell's like main message. He said he was studying in Hindu mythology and looking into the teachings of India. And this word that I talk about a lot, the word for God in India, Sat Chit Ananda,
Mm.
which is consciousness, truth, bliss. And with this is that and Yogananda says that God he just defines this a little bit further, and says that God is ever conscious, ever existing, ever new bliss. And Joseph Campbell was saying like, okay, I'm not quite sure at this point in my life that I understand consciousness. I can't honestly say that I fully know what truth is, but I do have a sense of bliss, of
Mm.
something inside me that I just love, like present moment, just bliss, or things that bring me satisfaction, contentment. And for him, it
Right.
was the study of mythology. He brought him bliss.
Yes.
So just go after that. And that was the first thing that I heard with Joseph Campbell. And I was like, I love this. And I just relentlessly was following my bliss. And I think too, like I had a realization during this sickness where I was thinking about this going back in time, and I was how relentlessly I really was following bliss. Like when I would learn about something new, like I would just pour myself into it, and I would make artwork around it, and I would just, when it would go one thing to the next thing. Or with the lucha stuff, like I just loved it and I wanted to tell these stories, and I just went in wholeheartedly every time following my bliss.
Yeah.
And this kind of goes, this goes into like a pretty sort of heavy scenario, but it really came really clear to me. I was relentlessly following bliss, not pleasure, and not,
Yeah.
not hedonism, but
Or
following
like
like things
peace
that,
and things that
yeah.
speak to your soul. Yeah.
And when you do that, actually, people are gonna think that you're crazy. People are gonna think that you're fucking up. People are gonna think that you're doing the wrong thing,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have to go through all of that. And you're gonna have to go through your own inner demons, like telling you like you can't do this. This is not the way the world works.
Yeah.
And then you go through that whole thing. But I realized, and I this is a whole longer story that I'll probably tell, but later on. But I got to sit with my wife's dad, who we have been living with. I had moved, like when Michelle and I got serious, I decided to move in with her here, and she was taking care of her parents. Her mom had congestive heart failure, and she was like,
Wow.
had a lot of issues, and I would help take her to her different appointments and things like that back then. And she passed away back in 2001. and and then from there on, I really had committed to, all right, I'm gonna be here with you and your dad. They said that he had maybe 5 years to live when I moved in, and I was like, okay, I can do that. 5 years, be here, and I'll help take care of him and all that. He ended up living for, I think it was maybe 18 years
Wow.
after. So we had gotten really close. Michelle and her dad always were kind of at odds. He was kind of he was always working throughout her whole life, and they never really developed a strong relationship. It was always duty. Like he was always like, make sure she has everything she needs, brought them over from South America, give them, take care of the mom. And so it was like a real duty based kind of
Yeah.
relationship. And then that's how she was too, is always like, I just need to make sure I have enough money to take care of him where he's comfortable, and I can just let him, be able to stay in his home.
Yeah.
And so
Is she Michelle's an only child?
she grew up as an only child. She had some siblings that she didn't grow up with.
Okay.
Yeah, that were older and had different like sort of step siblings
Okay.
that she's closer to now. But yeah, so it was really like an only child relationship. And so her dad and I ended up getting closer and closer, and he started going through things like Parkinson's disease. The medication would make him hallucinate, and he was having like kind of these strange psychedelic experiences that I was helping him through. He had like a real a spiritual upbringing with his dad, who died early when he was young. That was a priest. His dad used to actually like do exorcisms for
Oh
people. It was
wow. Oh,
kind of like
I've
the
heard a lot about
village.
that in South America, especially.
So he has a lot of this sort of spiritual stuff, but it was like very dormant in him, and kind of went away when he moved to America, and all of this. So we would have conversations about my ceremony experiences and all of that, and I was constantly taking him to all of his doctors and that stuff. So long story shorter, in 2020, he started really taking a decline, and I knew we were getting close to him being in his last days. And Michelle and I decided we were going to okay, we think this is the end. Let's just stop working. Let's just like dedicate ourselves to just making sure he's comfortable in these last days. We didn't know how long it would be, but I had a feeling it was going to be close. And during that time, so in this room that I'm sitting in, I actually, this used to be his little room here that he would kind of hang out in. And we knocked down some walls. I made it into a studio after he passed, but he would sit in this room on his, lazy boy. And I was using all of, and I wasn't initiated into Kriya Yoga yet, but I was pretty far along maybe about a year of training into my meditation practice. I was meditating every day for about 2 years at this point, and practicing for death experiences and moments, and for myself, like getting really comfortable around death. And all of this relentless following my bliss and seeking meditation and dedicating myself towards meditation, I realized in that time when it's all like, currently right now, it's all for this, to help this man cross over.
Wow.
In a way that is like ideal for his soul. And so like I would just sit all day, like I would curate the music. There's an artist named East Forest that I'm actually going to be part of, like participate, experience one of his ceremony concerts at the end of this month. He makes music for psychedelic experiences, and it's just very beautiful. Helps you just in your own mental journeys, just to go through your own heroic journey. So I would play him this music throughout the day, and then at night I would sit in there with him and do like really long meditations. And I was having like some of the most wonderful meditation experiences I've ever had. I was like, man, this is a great tool. So everybody should get a guy dying in front of them when they meditate. This is really great for having transcendent experiences.
Yeah, I bet.
So it's like at the same time where it was like really sad and really challenging and really difficult, I was actually having the time of my life at the same time, and feeling like we were really connecting, even though he wasn't talking.
Yeah.
And so we went 9 days of doing this, and then it was at the end of the ninth evening. I just kept, when it's like that, you're just like, you're just hoping that maybe it's today that they pass on. You're just waiting for it to happen. You
Yeah.
don't want them to suffer.
Yeah, of course.
And I had gotten to this point where it was like, okay, I stayed up with him all night. I was there meditating with him. I start seeing the sun start to come up again, and I start hearing some birds singing outside. I was like, okay, I guess it's another day, open the windows, and all right, we're gonna go. Who knows how long this is gonna go through? And then all of a sudden, because I've been timing his breath, like watching, like seeing how many times he's breathing per minute,
Yeah.
and that. And then all of a sudden, like I heard him take a breath, and then it was like a long pause in between the next breath. And I was like, whoa, this is different. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna shut the windows back down again. And like, all right, I timed his breath, and I was like, okay, um, I think we're nearing the end here. So I put on this chant that I use, which is just like an eternal Om, chanting Om. And so I put that on, and I just like sat in front of him and just started chanting Om, Om. And actually, to back up, I guess this is one of the main crux of the story that helped me get to this point is maybe 2 days before, maybe, I don't know how many days it was before, maybe 2 or 3 days before, I was doing my nightly meditation, and it just hit me so hard that I was gonna have to like watch a person die in front of me. It like just hit me what I was doing. Like, we
Yeah.
said, we're not gonna take you to the hospital. You're gonna, this is your wish. You wanted to die in the chair here, so I'm gonna do that. And that's not an easy thing to do for
Yeah.
people who are deciding to do that. And it hit me all at once that like I'm gonna have to like watch him suffocate, or maybe like convulse, or like
Yeah.
die in front of me. Like, and it just like hit me so hard in that meditation. I was like, whoa, like, can I do this? Like, I don't know if I can do this. And in that moment, like I actually went into like a really deep meditation with Yogananda. I was focusing on him, and I went into this really deep state where actually I did feel like I left my body.
Mm.
And um and then as I was in that state, I actually started to feel like I was dying, like suffocating.
Oh, wow.
I fully had to confront that I wasn't breathing, and I had to push beyond that state and die. Is what was happening. It was like, to me in the meditation, it was like the only choice. There was no like fighting it, resisting it, opening my eyes and getting up. It was like, you are dying, and you just need to be okay with that, and be
Wow.
calm. Yeah.
Wow.
And so like as that was happening, that was the first time I got to practice with this idea of, and this is how I got to the place where I'm not afraid of death, is that in that moment I just said okay to, I felt like Yogananda was there with me, like kind of coaching me through it, and it's just like, just go with it, just go. And so like I allowed myself to fully go through a suffocation experience. Right. It was only difficult for like a few seconds. That moment where you're like, okay, it's like kind of like if you were drowning and you just go underwater. At first it's peaceful. You're okay, and then you're just like, oh, I'm gonna have to drown. It
Wow.
felt like exactly like that. And then just going, can I just be calm and just drown?
Mm.
And that's what I did. I was just like, just drown. So I got as calm as I possibly could. And actually, when it happened, I lost consciousness, and I woke up like I was sitting in a chair in a closet at the time. I didn't have a meditation space. I was just sitting in a closet.
Mm.
And I actually woke up from the meditation, like just I was on the floor, and there was like there's a picture of Yogananda that I had on the floor that I was using. And I just woke up looking at his face, and he was just like beaming light at my face.
Wow.
And I just like, it was just like I was just engulfed in bliss. Like I just felt like so blissful and
Wow.
free and happy, and nothing ever again could like make me be afraid of death. Um and so I came out of that, like just like from then on, like the rest of the days I was just walking around like grinning, like smiling, like super happy. So every time I would go sit with Michelle's dad as he's passing away, like when he would open his eyes, I'd just be in there like, going like, you're so lucky, you're so lucky,
Yeah.
you're so lucky, you're so lucky.
Wow.
Like just knowing like what waits for you on the other side is just
Yeah.
going to be that
That great
for.
adventure.
Hmm.
He must have
And
been, his soul must have been so at peace, like being connected to you and having you, walk that journey as far as you can go, I guess to the door, right to the door.
yeah, I felt that was like, so it was like, that is what I've been practicing to be able to do. Like this whole
Mm.
time I've been able, and I just squeaked it in. Like just at that last moment, I got to have that experience that allowed me to come sit in here, and now I can stare at you and smile. And I did feel like, yeah, like he knows he's super safe. And I could honestly tell him, like, you're safe. I got you, whatever you need to
Mm.
do. Like, shit yourself, piss on yourself. I don't care. Got you.
Yeah.
Do whatever
Yeah.
you got to do. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, here's a little button. Whenever you need it, just push the button and I'll be here, or whatever. So he did
Wow.
feel like 100% safe. And then I got to like watch him go through, like I studied the Tibetan Book of the Dead and the phases of dying. And
Right.
I could tell, like, because he would be talking out loud or saying different things, but in a different world. So I could tell like what part of the phase that he was on in the death experience, and all of that. And so yeah, fast forward back into like that last morning, it was, yeah, I just, you put on the ohms and we were just chanting om together. And I was in just such a peaceful place about it. I was so excited for him. Like,
Mm.
you get to you get to go to heaven, like right now, like not go to heaven, you just get to be love,
Yeah.
like spoiler alert, that's what we are at the end, is just
Yeah.
infinite bliss, ever existing, ever conscious, ever new bliss. So
Yeah.
chanting Om with him, and it was the most peaceful death. Like I couldn't even imagine dying that peacefully. I didn't know that that was possible. Like
Wow.
it was just like taking in, like slowing down, slowing down, just chanting Om, just sending him love energy, sending him love energy, and getting shorter and shorter breath until he just took one big last one, and then
Yeah.
opened his eyes really big and then just blew it all out. And then just like, that was it. It was like,
Wow.
you know, and
I've heard
yeah.
that when people pass on, it is like there's almost like an awakening before it happens. Like I mean, I don't know, but I've lost relatives, and right at the moment of their death, it's like they almost become alert and then
Mm-hmm.
they're out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's, synapse firing in the brain or what's happening in that moment, but I hear that often.
Yeah, it was like a big one last, like, yeah, we did it, like two
Yeah.
souls, like right at that moment, like everything we'd ever done could have led to this one last moment where it was just like
Wow.
high five, see you next time, you know.
Wow. Wow.
And so I feel I got this really big revelation. I tell that whole story just to say, like, during this sickness, I got this whole revelation of all of my relentless seeking, searching, hero's journey, inner work, psychedelic experiences, meeting shaman, doing all these things, meeting my guru. It was all leading me into that moment to be able to
Yeah.
do that at that point. And I had to put on my own life vest first before I could help anybody else. So even if it looked like it was narcissistic or selfish, like the things that I was doing, I just saw, I got like a real comfort from my soul. It was like, no, like I was doing this all along. Like, don't feel
Yeah.
bad for all of the things that you did to get here, because, I was doing this.
I like to think that everything we do in life is preparatory. Whatever we have experiences professionally, personally, it's preparing us for whatever the next great adventure is going to be. So that's beautiful. I'm so glad that you had that experience, that he had that experience, because death is coming for all of us, right? No one's
Mhm.
no one's getting out of this alive. So, well,
Mhm.
physically we're not getting out of it alive anyways, but we're all heading toward that, like you said, love. Like that's pretty beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And all those death experiences, like him passing away, was just like the myth story. It was the end of the old thing. Now it makes way for the new things that I'm able to do with my life. We're
Yeah.
able to transform the rooms that used to be in. We that was when the lockdown, right after he passed, is when the all of the stuff with COVID started coming, and we,
Mm,
felt the time to leave the studio. So now we had space in the house. The timing was exactly perfect. Get that all set up here, have my little meditation space here, transform into my new career where I was making sacred art and practicing Kriya, and then
yeah.
moving into like meeting you and the team, and working on this project to be able to share everything that we've learned on our journeys and create a community now where we can support each other on our hero's journey. So I want to say all this to say, like, if people from the community are listening to this, or if you're interested in getting into this Web3 community that we're building, it's going to be a place for that, where we're all like going after our dreams as
Yeah.
heroes, sharing it with each other, encouraging each other, using these power symbols as something that we can meditate on, stare at, ask it to work through us in our lives.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be super fun.
100%. And I think, this is just another vehicle. You have your Instagram and Twitter. People use Facebook, Discord, and the Secrets of the Eternal Community and Web3. Like we're trying to bring everybody together collectively, and we'll be doing some things on Web3, but we also have lots of plans to do things in real life, together
Mhm.
with Chris, maybe in Florida or Scottsdale, Arizona, or maybe one day in Canada. But that's what we're working towards. We're genuinely trying to build community here, and so hopefully, people, take the risks. There are risks associated with every decision, and I know that when you hear things like Web3 and NFTs or digital assets or digital art or um, crypto or anything like that, it does sound risky, but we encourage you to be a hero and take the journey. You're not alone. We're here to help everybody kind of get to where we are.
It's a current dark forest that you can venture out into and explore and then
Yeah.
be rewarded. It's in this world where everybody is just like so like TikTok and just scrolling and nobody's looking at anything or really getting more out of. I think the Web3 is coming in as it's like a dark horse that maybe is a savior of
Yeah.
this, where it allow us to slow down. It'll allow us to like just get together with like-minded people and become interested around a central topic and to really, because like I want to say things in Instagram about my artwork, but nobody's reading that shit.
Right. Right. Yes.
you know so I feel like it's just wasted. It's like, oh, I'm just going to put out a pretty picture and it gets a like or not, and you're just on to the next thing, and
Yeah.
all of the things that we could be diving into. Where can we do that? I think that's
Yeah.
through Web3 communities. I think that's what's happening. It's going to give us a chance to do. So
I
yeah, I
agree.
think we'll maybe leave everybody with that.
Okay.
Unless you
Well,
got any
Chris,
other topics.
no, that was good. That was very cathartic for me. And hearing your voice and your experiences and your lessons and positive energy is always uplifting
Yours
and
too,
uplifting.
man. Yeah, I like it's so fun to be able to talk with somebody else who shares this kind of way to look at life and look
Yeah.
at things that you're going through.
Well,
Makes
thank you.
it so much easier.
Well, I hope I wish you well on the road to recovery physically from your ailments, and likewise, I'm sure.
You too, man.
And we'll do this again next week, and let's see if we can even get an AMA going next week as well. So we'll do a podcast and an AMA with the community, because I'm sure everyone would love to hear your voice.
Yeah, that'll be great. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll catch you again next time. Blessings.
Blessings.